12 hours trapped in a shopping mall with a serial killer. It wasn't the screams that woke me, it was the silence. That unnatural kind, the kind that feels like a warning, the kind your brain doesn't register until your body already knows you're in danger. I was in the back hallway behind the food court. The air tasted like copper and grease, and the fluorescent lights overhead flickered like a failing memory. I checked my phone. Dead. No signal, no time. I didn't remember falling asleep. I didn't even remember closing my eyes. That's when I realized I wasn't alone. There were footsteps, not fast, not loud, just slow, deliberate, rubber soles dragging across polished tile. At first I thought maybe it was mall security, until I saw the blood. Just one line of it, thin, almost artistic, arcing from the exit door down to the maintenance closet. That was the first moment I knew I wasn't supposed to be here. And I swear on everything, I had no memory of how I got locked inside. I've read real horror stories. I've watched videos about true exorcism accounts and spiritual investigations gone wrong, but nothing prepares you for when it happens to you, when your reality starts cracking like a windshield under pressure, when your memory stutters, loops, when the mall you thought you knew, the one you grew up in, turns into a hunting ground for something wearing a man's skin. They called him Unit 56. Not the police, not the media, just the internet. The name showed up once in a redacted report about an unsolved mall disappearance in 1998. Then again in a police scanner leak from 2006, someone crying that Unit 56 was back, dragging bodies behind a locked security gate. The footage from that night was lost in a fire, or that's what the official statement said. But here's what no one tells you. The mall never burned down, and the person who made the call was never found. Just silence on the tape, and something breathing too close to the mic. My name's Andrew. I worked at the electronics shop on level 2. Nothing fancy. Phone cases, game controllers, fake AirPods that stopped working after a week. I'd worked there 6 months when the night shift changed. They said it was budget cuts, that we'd only have one person closing instead of 2. That night, I stayed behind to fix inventory. Last customer left at 8. I locked the gate. Standard routine. But sometime around 10, the hallway lights died. Then the speakers started playing this static loop, like half a recording of a music box, cut with whispers in a language I couldn't understand. I tried to leave. Every door was locked, even the emergency exits, like the building had sealed itself shut. 12 hours later, when they found me, I was in the security office, covered in someone else's blood. No memory of what happened between midnight and dawn. But that wasn't the strange part. The strange part is this. I wasn't scheduled to work that night. The schedule said I had the day off. My manager swore he never asked me to stay. My co-workers all thought I'd gone to that concert out of town. My girlfriend said I texted her from the parking lot saying I was on the road. Except I don't remember any of that. I only remember the smell, that copper taste in the air, the static on the speakers, and something moving inside the vents, whispering my name in my mother's voice. They call what happened that night a psychotic episode. They say I imagined it, but the mall cameras from that night, all 23 of them, corrupted, deleted, every file gone, except one. It was uploaded anonymously 3 days later, a 1-minute clip pulled from security feed 9. And in that clip you can see me, frozen in the middle of the hallway, with a shadow standing behind me, tall, motionless, wearing a mall janitor uniform soaked in red. And I swear to you, it looked exactly like my father. But my father died in 2002. The night started like any other late shift, fluorescent buzz, old pop songs echoing from the food court speakers, and the smell of reheated pizza from the kiosk across the way. I was doing the count, chargers, wireless mice, phone cases sorted by brand, when the lights flickered once, then twice, then went black. Total blackout. Not just in the store, the entire concourse. That had never happened before. At first I thought it was just a power trip. Then I noticed something worse. The emergency exit signs weren't on. No green glow, no backup lighting, just pitch darkness. I stood there, waiting for the generator to kick in. Nothing. I reached for my phone, but the flashlight app wouldn't launch. Battery was at 70%. It should have worked. That's when I heard the metal security gate close. Not mine. I had locked mine earlier. But across the concourse, heavy, clanging metal, like someone was sealing off an entrance. I stepped out of the store and into the dark, guided only by the faint glow from a vending machine flickering halfway down the hall. That's when I saw the first door. It was open, the service hallway. No one ever left that door open. It was a known policy. Stay out of back corridors after hours unless you had a key card. But there it was, cracked open just enough to see inside. A red glow was spilling out, like emergency lights, except slower, pulsing. Unnatural. I thought maybe it was maintenance, so I stepped closer. And that's when the door slammed shut, fast, with force, and from the inside. I froze. Not just from fear, but because in that moment I realized something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. The mall clock was gone. It had always hung above the directory map, right across from the elevator. But now, just a blank wall. No clock, no map, as if they'd never been installed. I turned back toward my store, but the sign had changed. Where it should have read Gadgetech, the illuminated letters now said 56. Nothing else. Just that number. I ran to the gate and pulled at it. Locked, not with my usual keypad, with a chain and bolt, like a cellar door, like something meant to keep people in. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember pounding on the gate, but I must have because my knuckles were raw later. What I do remember is the security radio crackling to life. I never carried one. Not my job. But a small transceiver sat on the ground next to the vending machine now. No label, no brand, just static. Then a voice came through, not a full sentence, just 3 words. Don't trust 56. It repeated twice before the static surged and the unit melted. Literally melted. The plastic casing cracked open and hissed like something inside it was alive. That's when I started running. Every door I tried was sealed. Not locked, sealed, like part of the architecture. No seams, no hinges. Even the emergency fire exits were just blank walls now. I passed by the shoe store. Its display was still lit, but the mannequins were turned around. All of them. Backs facing the window. Arms pointed down, but one was slightly raised. Not a mannequin pose. More like it was pointing. I followed its direction. That's when I found the first message, written in what looked like black marker on the tile floor. If you read this, you're already inside. Not trapped, not in danger, just inside. The choice of words felt surgical. I turned the corner into the food court, and that's when I saw the blood for the first time. A single trail, thin, precise, leading from the now dead escalator up to the carousel on the second floor. The same carousel they shut down after a kid lost his arm in 2004. Except that carousel hadn't been there in years, but now, in the center of the food court, it stood, spinning, slowly. Music box chimes playing a corrupted version of Pop Goes the Weasel. There was something on one of the horses. I couldn't see clearly and the lights were glitching again, but it looked like a bag, a satchel, something dark, stitched with what looked like a sigil, a spiral made of interlocking teeth. My body didn't want to move closer, but my legs did, like I wasn't fully in control anymore. When I reached for the bag, the music stopped. Hard cut, instant silence. And then I heard breathing, from behind me. Not normal breathing, mimicked breathing. Like someone had studied how to inhale, how to exhale, and was trying to get it right. I turned around, but there was nothing. Just empty food stalls and overturned chairs. Except now the trail of blood was gone, and in its place, smeared across the tiles in a wide arc, "You locked the wrong door." And that's when the smell hit me, like rotting teeth and burnt sugar. My vision blurred. I staggered back toward the hallway, heart in my throat. I passed the candy shop, but it wasn't a candy shop anymore. The walls were lined with missing person posters, hundreds of them, dated from the past 40 years, all different styles, all different languages, all with the same mall address, same timestamp too. 12:06 a.m. That's when it clicked. I hadn't just gotten locked inside the mall had locked me inside it. The hallway to the security office was longer than I remembered. Like the dimensions of the mall had changed, stretched inward somehow. The walls were narrower, stained with something that looked like water damage, but darker, thicker. Each step felt like walking into a place that shouldn't exist anymore. I reached the end and tried the handle. Locked, but there was a keypad now, one I'd never seen before. Not your average mall security setup. This one was old, brass-plated, the kind you'd see in a Cold War bunker. And instead of a digital screen, it had 6 buttons, engraved with strange symbols. One of them looked like an open eye. Another looked like a serpent swallowing its own tail. I didn't know the code. But the moment I reached for the pad, the door clicked open on its own. Inside, the room was freezing, like deep freezer cold. My breath fogged instantly. All the monitors were on, dozens of screens showing different angles of the mall, but they weren't live. They were stuck on the same timestamp, 12:06 a.m., just like the posters. The feed looped over and over, and in every camera the mall was empty, except for one figure, not always in focus, sometimes just a shadow on the edge of frame, sometimes standing completely still in the middle of a store, but always there, watching, wearing a dark uniform with no logo, face always turned just slightly away. I tried to rewind, to scrub through the footage, but every time I touched the control panel, the image glitched. The kind of glitch you see in corrupted footage, where the screen bends like it's warping in on itself. And in one of the glitched frames, for half a second, I saw myself. Standing in the middle of the corridor outside the candy store, arms limp, face pale, and something behind me. It was blurry, hard to make out, but it looked human, just wrong, too tall. Joints bent the wrong way, mouth open but stretched vertically. No eyes. Just dark, sunken holes that didn't reflect light. I hit pause, trying to freeze the frame, but the screen cracked, physically cracked, a spiderweb fracture across the glass. That's when the audio kicked in. Not from the monitors, from the radio on the desk. Same kind as the melted one before, but this one was working. It crackled once, then played what sounded like a voicemail. "Andrew, you weren't supposed to come back. It knows you remember. That's why it opened the door." My blood ran cold. That voice, it was me, but not from any recording I'd ever made. It was my voice, slightly off, like a version of me that had given up or gone too deep. Then came the second message. A woman's voice this time. "We tried to burn the tape. We did. It still came back. It always comes back. The footage reappears, even after we torch the hard drives, even after we wipe the servers." There was a metallic clang behind me. I turned. The door to the office was closed again, and this time it was bolted from the inside. That wasn't the worst part. The screen in the center of the security wall, the largest one, was now showing live footage. I saw the hallway, the very one outside the office, but something was moving into frame. A figure, slow, head tilted sideways, walking like its bones had forgotten how to carry its weight. As it moved closer, I saw the uniform, the name stitched into the chest. Custodial, 56. Then it looked up. Its face was a blur, but not from bad video. It was like my mind couldn't hold the image. Every time I focused, it slipped, shifted, changed, until I looked at its hand. It was holding something, a VHS tape, burnt, melted on one side, but the label was still visible. Security, 12:06 a.m., Unit 56, do not watch. The lights in the room started flickering. The monitors shut off one by one, each with a high-pitched whine. Then a smell hit the air, chemical, sharp, like scorched plastic and blood. The tape started playing, but not in the VCR. The sound came from the walls, screaming, garbled voices, Latin, I think, or something older. And under it all, this chanting, a deep, guttural rhythm, like a choir repeating a name that wasn't human. I blacked out. When I came to, the office was empty again, door wide open, all monitors off, but the tape was still there, sitting on the desk, untouched. cool to the touch. And written on the back in smeared black ink was a single line: "You watched it, now it watches you." I carried the tape with me, not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't let it go, literally. My fingers wouldn't unclench. It was like the thing had fused with my skin, like my body knew what my mind refused to accept. This wasn't just a recording. It was a key. I left the security office behind and headed for the old maintenance stairwell. The one that led to the now defunct upper level. That floor had been closed for years, supposedly due to fire damage that never quite added up. When I reached the door, I didn't expect it to open, but it did. The moment the knob turned, a pressure hit my chest, like stepping into an elevator shaft with no floor. Inside, the air was wrong, thick, stale and buzzing, like static had a scent. The stairwell was pitch black, except for a faint orange light pulsing from the top landing. I climbed slowly, gripping the rusted rail with one hand and the tape with the other. Halfway up, I noticed something that stopped me cold: the graffiti. All along the stairwell walls were names, hundreds of them, carved, scrawled, scratched into concrete, some fresh, some faded, and next to each name the same timestamp, 12:06 a.m. But that wasn't the strangest part. A few names were marked with red paint, circled, and one of them was mine. Andrew W., 12:06 a.m. I stared at it, heart hammering, when I heard something above me. Voices, not loud, not angry, just talking. Calm, casual, as if nothing was wrong. I reached the top of the stairs and stepped into a space I wasn't supposed to see. The abandoned level had changed. It looked like the mall, but wrong. Stores I didn't recognize, layouts that didn't exist on any blueprint, and people, so many people. They walked calmly through the aisles, shopping, eating, laughing. Except nothing they touched was real. They picked up invisible items, sat at empty tables, talked on phones that didn't exist. And their eyes, every single one of them, were milky white, glossed over like they'd drowned. I ducked behind a pillar and watched. None of them noticed me, or pretended not to. That's when I saw him again. The janitor, Unit 56, standing motionless outside a store with no sign, holding a mop that dripped black sludge, just standing there, watching the crowd, and then snapping his head toward me, not turning, snapping like something cracking in half. And all the fake people, they stopped, they turned, they looked right at me. I ran, down the fake corridor, past fake stores. The walls stretched and warped like rubber. My footsteps echoed in loops, bouncing in the wrong direction. The sound of the crowd's shoes behind me multiplied, like there were hundreds, maybe thousands chasing me, but I couldn't see a single one. I ducked into a dark side corridor. That's where I found the mirror store, not a joke, that's what the sign said, the mirror store, hand-painted in dripping silver letters. Inside it was cold again, freezing. The walls were lined with tall antique mirrors, all different shapes and frames. None of them showed my reflection, but they all showed someone else's. A girl, late teens maybe, soaking wet, pale, eyes wide. She mouthed something silently. Then the mirror shattered from the inside. Glass flew out toward me, but I didn't feel anything. Just a pull, like something grabbing the back of my spine, dragging. And suddenly I was standing in the same spot, but the store was empty, all mirrors gone, except one, in the center of the room. And in it, she was still there, not moving, just staring. And behind her, a door. She reached out, pressed her palm to the glass. I don't know why, but I mirrored the motion, my hand against hers. And that's when the words appeared, backwards etched across the inside of the mirror. "We never left, we were never alive." A voice whispered from behind me, cold and close. "You're almost out, but you need to bring it back." I turned. Nothing. When I looked back, the mirror was gone, replaced with a blank wall, and in my hand, not the tape anymore. Now I was holding a folded paper map, one I'd never seen before, stained, torn, with locations that didn't exist in our mall. Places like the Blood Fountain, Unit 6X, the Womb Hall, and one final destination circled in red ink, Survivor's Exit, but only before 6:06, not 12:06, 6:06, and beneath that, in smeared pencil, time is wrong here. It loops. Every 12 hours becomes one. You'll forget. You'll walk again. You'll join them. I looked up. The crowd was gone. The upper level was dark again. But in the far distance, I heard one last sound that froze me in place. A carousel, spinning, slowly, playing a song I used to hear in my dreams. The map was soft in my hand, like it had been folded and unfolded for years. The ink bled slightly at the corners, and where the words Womb Hall were written, there were faint scratch marks underneath, as if someone had tried to erase the name and failed. I followed the map, half in a trance. The layout it showed didn't match the mall as I remembered it, but my feet moved like they'd walked the path before. The walls changed as I went. What used to be tiled corridors and promotional posters became pale, pulsing surfaces, like stretched canvas or old skin. The mall directory signs were replaced with etched symbols, not in any language I knew. Jagged spirals, eye-shaped sigils, arrows pointing in directions that made no architectural sense. And then came the smell, sickly sweet, like sugar mixed with rot. It clung to my nose and tongue and memory. Familiar, but wrong. Like childhood nightmares warped through years of forgetting. I turned the final corner and saw the entrance. The Womb Hall was carved above a pitch-black archway in slanted lettering that didn't seem part of this world. It didn't feel like a name. It felt like a warning in disguise. The moment I stepped inside, time bent. I know how that sounds, but I mean it literally. My watch stopped. My body felt like it was moving underwater. My thoughts started looping, thinking the same sentence over and over without realizing I'd already thought it. The hallway was narrow, breathing. I'm not exaggerating. The walls actually moved. Inhale, exhale, slow, rhythmic, and they were wet. Each step was sticky. The floor was soft, almost sponge-like. With every footfall, a low moan vibrated under me, as if the hall was alive and didn't like being walked on. Halfway through, I heard something. A baby crying. High-pitched, desperate, echoing from deeper within. But it wasn't just a baby, it was dozens of them, wailing in chorus and something humming back to them. A low, gravelly lullaby in a language that scratched the inside of my ears. I should have turned around. Every instinct screamed to run. But I didn't, because I saw something at the end of the hall. A shape, slumped, human. As I got closer, the shape became clearer. It was a man, kneeling, face down. He looked freshly dead, or not dead at all. His body twitched slightly, but not like someone alive, more like a puppet being pulled by invisible threads. His shirt was soaked in black, not blood, something thicker, something still moving, and tattooed across the back of his neck were the numbers. 56, 56, 56. When I touched his shoulder, he jerked upward and looked at me, and I saw my own face. It wasn't a trick of the light. It wasn't a hallucination. He was me. Same scar above the eyebrow, same chipped tooth, same panic in the eyes. He opened his mouth to speak, but only static came out. Then he began to convulse. His jaw unhinged with a crack, stretching wider than should be possible. From his throat came a voice, a woman's voice, ragged and wet. You brought it back. The tape. You carried it through. That's how it returns. That's how it births itself. I stumbled backward as the body collapsed, melting into the floor, and the hallway began to pulse faster. The crying from behind the walls turned to screaming. The humming turned to chanting. The words made no sense, but my skin knew them. My teeth ached with every syllable. Then the walls began splitting open, not crumbling, not collapsing. Opening, and from them poured arms, dozens, hundreds, pale, writhing, human arms clawing through torn flesh walls, trying to pull themselves out or drag me in. I ran, faster than I ever have. The hall behind me shrieked as it collapsed into itself, the structure folding inward like lungs exhaling for the last time. I didn't stop until I crashed through the final membrane. Yes, it felt like membrane, not drywall, and fell back into a section of the mall I actually recognized, the toy store. But it was altered. The shelves were filled with dolls, hundreds of them, each one hand-stitched, each one made of cloth soaked in real hair. And every single doll had a small number tag pinned to its chest. Mine read, Andrew W., Unit 56, 12:06 a.m. My body locked up. I couldn't breathe. A tiny speaker inside the doll buzzed to life. You're almost ready. Then the lights in the store all turned on at once, and all the dolls' heads turned toward me. I ran. I don't remember getting out of the toy store. I just remember the doors slamming behind me and the hallway lights flickering like they were struggling to keep reality together. My legs moved on their own, carrying me toward the central court, toward the carousel. It was spinning again, but not like before. Now it turned in reverse, slowly, mechanically, like each rotation was being dragged against time itself. The music box melody that played before, the twisted version of Pop Goes the Weasel, had changed, slower, out of tune, and layered beneath it, almost hidden, was a reversed voice. I couldn't make out the words at first, but as I got closer, the message became clearer. They buried it here, under the floor, under the horses. The tape is just a seed. The blood makes it grow. I stepped onto the platform. The carousel creaked and groaned under my weight. The horses were not horses anymore. Their eyes had been gouged out, their mouths sewn shut with red thread. Some weren't horses at all, just humanoid shapes twisted into four-legged forms, stitched together like experiments. One of them had a face. Mine. At the center of the carousel, where the operator's booth used to be, was now a hole. A perfect circle cut directly into the metal floor. It pulsed like a heartbeat. From it came a distant sound, like whispering prayers being spoken by people who didn't understand the words they were saying. I looked around. The mall was silent again. No people. No sound. Just the carousel spinning in reverse and the hole in its center. I should have left, but instead I knelt beside the opening. The air was warm, damp. I held the map over it, and the ink began to melt. Lines bled, landmarks disappeared, until only one phrase remained, handwritten in a frantic scrawl. Return the body, bury the memory, erase the witness. Something moved in the hole. I felt it before I saw it. A slow rising shape stretching upward through the dark like smoke solidifying into flesh. And then it spoke. You were always here. You left. But the mall didn't. It was the same voice from the voicemail. My voice, but ancient, hollow. And then, hands, grabbing the edge, pulling itself up. I stepped back, but the carousel locked me in. The perimeter gates slammed down with a clang. Every one of the carousel horses turned their heads toward me in unison. Then, one by one, they began chanting, not with voices, with vibration. The floor buzzed beneath my feet in pulses, creating words in my bones. He was the first, but not the last. We are the riders. The dead don't walk forward. And in front of me, the shape fully emerged. Not a man, not anymore. It wore a mall janitor's uniform, stained with something dark, pulsating beneath the fabric. Its face was a void, a hole where features should be, but its chest had a mouth. A horizontal gash lined with yellow teeth, breathing in slow rhythm, whispering my name. Andrew, Andrew, Andrew. It opened its arms, and in one hand it held the VHS tape, now cracked down the middle, leaking black fluid. In the other, a security badge. Mine. But the photo wasn't me. It was someone older. Same name, same badge number, but from 1986. I backed away. You think you're the first. You think the mall called you, but we all wore your face. You're the echo, not the origin. I screamed. The lights exploded above me, glass raining down in slow motion, and then the carousel stopped, just stopped. Everything froze, the creature, the noise, the air. Then a sound shattered the silence. A ringtone, my ringtone, from my back pocket. I pulled out my phone. It shouldn't have worked. The battery was dead hours ago, but the screen lit up anyway. Unknown caller. I answered it. Don't believe what it shows you. You never left the security office. It's playing you, Andrew. Then silence. And then the mall returned. Fluorescence flickered on. Music played softly overhead. The creature was gone. The carousel was normal again. Still, quiet, clean. No blood, no tape, no hole. Had I imagined it? Was it all a loop in my head? I climbed down, hands shaking, heart still thundering, but as I reached the edge, I saw something carved into the railing, something new, fresh. 12:06 M. Welcome back, Andrew. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at that carving. My name, my time. Like the mall itself was keeping score. I needed to get out. I didn't care if it was real or not anymore. My body was operating on pure survival. I ran for the main entrance, hoping, praying, that something had reset, that whatever loop I was in had finally broken. And this time the front gate was open. Not fully, just enough to slip through. Light was bleeding through the slats, the blue-grey hue of early morning. I could see the empty parking lot beyond. My car was still there, covered in dew, untouched. I moved toward it, every step feeling like it might be my last. But then I remembered the map. Survivor's exit, but only before 6:06. I didn't know the exact time. My phone screen was cracked beyond legibility, but I moved faster, heart pounding, just in case I was cutting it too close. The gate let out a mechanical hiss as I squeezed through. I didn't look back, not yet. I sprinted to the car, fumbled the keys, started the engine. But as I pulled out, something made me stop. Something inside me said, check the exit camera. Every mall entrance has a dome camera overhead. Ours was an old black one with a red light that never blinked. Except now, it was blinking. I rolled down my window and looked up, and inside the dome, behind the scratched plastic cover, was a lens pointed directly at me. And something else. A face. Pressed against the glass from the inside, watching me. It was my face, but not my expression. This version of me wasn't terrified. He was smiling, wide, calm, like he wanted me to leave, or worse, like he knew I never would. That's when I remembered the security office again. The looping footage, the timestamp. 12:06 a.m. But something didn't make sense. I was outside now, right? I checked the lot. But the world beyond the mall didn't look right. The trees were too still, the sky too flat. No birds, no clouds, no breeze. And in the distance, where the road should have curved into the highway, there was just darkness, like someone forgot to render the rest of the world. I put the car in drive. The tires moved, but the mall didn't get smaller in the rear view. I looked back. I wasn't moving at all. My car was still parked in the same spot, only now the passenger seat was occupied. Someone was sitting next to me. I turned. No one was there. But on the passenger window, written in fog, were 4 words, "You never left, Andrew." I opened the door and stumbled out, gasping. The lot was different now. Rows and rows of identical cars, all covered in dust, all with the same license plate, mine. And in every single car, someone was sitting in the driver's seat. Some had rotted away, some were still fresh, but all of them looked like me. Different versions, different timelines. One of them looked directly at me and whispered, "Don't forget to loop the tape or you'll have to start again." I ran, back toward the mall. And the gate, sealed shut, chains, bolts, no keypad in sight. A voice crackled from the speaker overhead, the one used for mall announcements. It was the janitor's voice now, Unit 56, but this time he wasn't speaking to me. New arrival confirmed. Subject, Andrew W. Loop number 219, memory stability, degraded. Time perception, collapsed. Role, witness. Condition, re-entry required. Then static, and in the glass reflection of the mall entrance I saw myself again, standing inside, watching, smiling, wearing the janitor uniform, holding the mop. The mop that wasn't a mop at all, but a VHS tape melted into the end of a bone handle. The reflection raised its hand and waved, and that's when the carousel music started playing again from my car radio. Even though the keys were in my hand, even though the battery was dead, even though I was standing 50 feet away. It started again with a scream I didn't recognize as my own. It tore through the walls like a warning, raw, guttural, echoing in a way that made the structure itself seem alive. And then I was back. Not outside, not in the parking lot, but in the electronics store, standing behind the counter, just like before. Same smell of cheap plastic and stale soda. Same blinking neon sign overhead. Only this time, I was already in the store. I saw myself, moving slowly in the corner, restocking phone cases. Same clothes, same haircut, but I didn't react to my presence. He moved like someone on autopilot, emotionless, hollow. The speaker above the counter buzzed to life. Loop 220 initiated, witness status unstable, memories partially retained, behavioral divergence expected. Then silence. The lights flickered once, and suddenly, everything shifted. I was back in the hallway again, food court to my left, candy shop ahead. The carousel wasn't moving, not yet, but I knew it would. I knew where to go, I knew what would happen. The map was already in my hand. It had reset too, perfectly folded, unmarred, waiting to unfold itself in sequence. But there was something new this time. A note on the back in a child's handwriting. Don't trust the ones who look like you. They forget too much. And then, just under that, ask for her. She remembers everything. No name, no location. Just a black thumbprint smeared beside the word her. I turned toward the candy shop, the place where the wall of missing posters used to be. But now, the storefront was gone, replaced by a black tunnel. No sign, no glass. Just a narrow corridor lined with old televisions. CRT screens stacked to the ceiling, all turned on, all playing static, except one. The center screen showed my bedroom, not a recreation, my actual room, with my bed, my laptop, my cracked phone case. Everything exactly as I'd left it. And on the bed sat her, a girl, young, pale, eyes wide, hair soaked like she'd just crawled out of a lake, the same girl from the mirror in the upper level. She looked straight into the camera, and this time, she spoke. Andrew, if you're hearing this, then you've started loop 220. You're closer than anyone's ever been. But you need to stop looking for exits. They don't let you out. They let you think you got out. That's the trick. They need you to believe the door is real, but it's not. You're just walking into the next version of the mall. She leaned closer. Her eyes weren't just wide. They were empty. Glossy, like something ancient was using her body to speak. Find the escalator that goes nowhere. Use the badge. You still have it, don't you? I checked my pocket. The security badge. Still there. But the photo had changed again. Now it showed her. Name, Violet W. Date of entry, March 6, 1981. Job title, Mall Anchor, Lost and Found Department. She spoke again, this time her voice deeper, distorted. I'm in the archive room, beneath the womb hall. You'll have to pass through the children's atrium. They'll know you're coming now, so you need to move fast, before the tape finishes playing again. And then the feed glitched. Her face distorted, mouth stretched. Audio warped into white noise. And beneath it, whispers. Looped, reversed voices repeating the same phrase. Bury the copy. Burn the body, bury the copy, burn the body. The TVs shut off all at once, pitch black, then footsteps behind me. Not running, not rushing, just deliberate, heavy, rubber-soled. I turned, ready to face Unit 56 again. But it wasn't him. It was me. Another me. Older, scarred, covered in dried blood. He didn't speak, just held something out. A VHS tape, shattered down the middle, and a second object, a key, bent, blackened, carved with the same spiral tooth sigil from the carousel pole. He placed them on the floor between us, then slowly backed away into the dark. Before disappearing, he whispered, "Don't look behind the third mirror." Then he was gone, and I was alone. Except I wasn't, because the air was breathing again. The walls around me were warm, pulsating. Loop 220 had restarted the full sequence, and the speakers began counting down. Loop 220, reset in T-minus 11 minutes. Find Violet, find the anchor, find your role. Then silence. And far in the distance, faint but unmistakable, the carousel music began playing again. But this time it wasn't reversed. This time it was playing forward. And that scared me more than anything else so far. The hallway leading to the children's atrium didn't exist in any version of the mall I remembered. It unfurled like something growing rather than something built. The walls were faded pastels, peeling with age, like a daycare that had been abandoned for decades. But underneath the paint were drawings, children's drawings, crayons on drywall, dozens of them. Most were crude, stick figures, suns, smiling faces. But the farther I walked, the worse they became. Smiles turned to scribbled mouths filled with black teeth. Figures had no eyes. Red spirals bled from every corner, and one message repeated beneath them all. "She lives in the ball pit." I gripped the key Violet's double had left me. It buzzed faintly in my palm, warm to the touch like it wanted to be used. I stepped through the archway. The children's atrium looked like a kid's dream warped through fever. Broken rocking horses swayed slowly with no riders. Toy trains moved in crooked loops. A half-deflated bounce castle slouched in the corner, its fabric torn and moving slightly, like it was breathing. In the center of the room sat the ball pit. It was enormous, too big for the space. Like it extended far beneath the floor. Balls floated unnaturally still, like the surface of a frozen lake. And the smell, thick, sweet, chemical. Like something was trying to cover up rot. As I approached, a soft lullaby played from a speaker overhead. "If you go too deep, you'll never sleep. The pit will keep your soul to eat." The melody looped once, then distorted into static. I was about to step back when a small hand reached out from beneath the balls. Not a child's hand. Pale. Slender, adult-sized. It slowly pushed up, revealing a woman's face beneath the surface. Violet. Older now. Hair tangled, eyes sunken, like she'd been trapped there for decades. Her mouth didn't move, but her voice rang out in my head. "You can't go under yet. You'll forget. That's what the pit does." She rose up, standing fully now, the plastic balls scattering around her like water. She climbed out barefoot, her feet leaving no prints. She handed me something wrapped in plastic. A photo. It was me, holding a child, smiling. A birthday banner in the background. "I don't have kids." "They gave you a false life to keep you anchored," Violet said, aloud this time. Her voice was brittle but direct. "But you rejected it. That's why you're breaking the loop." I tried to speak, but no words came. My voice didn't work here. Violet pointed across the atrium to a small red door behind the carousel-themed slide. "That leads to the archive room. That's where the original copy of the tape is kept, the first recording, the one that started all this." She looked at me, eyes trembling. "You can burn it, Andrew. But if you do, the mall might collapse. This entire space exists to contain the echo. The tape is the last anchor. Destroy it and the loops end for good." I started toward the door, but Violet grabbed my arm, hard. "You won't be alone. The ones who never escaped, they'll try to stop you. Some look like you. Some look like memories. And if you hear a child crying, don't look for them. It's not a child." Her hand released mine, and she began to dissolve, slowly, like ash in the wind. Her final words were barely audible. "Don't trust the sound. Only what bleeds is real." I turned to the red door and slid the key into the lock. It screamed. Not the door. The key. It let out a high-pitched shriek, like metal being tortured. My hand burned, but I held on. The lock turned. The door creaked open. And beyond it, darkness, but not empty. I could feel it breathing. The archive room, and something inside was waiting for me. Because I hadn't been the only one to reach this far, I wasn't the first, but I had to be the last. Behind me, the atrium began to collapse, not physically but in memory. The walls blurred, details washed away like a corrupted file failing to render. The ball pit vanished. The rocking horses stopped. The world shrank into the doorway. And once I stepped through, there was no going back. The door shut behind me like a vault ceiling shut. No sound, no click, just absence, like the room itself devoured any noise that tried to escape. Pitch black, then a hum, not mechanical, organic, like a throat clearing itself endlessly just below the threshold of hearing. I raised my hand. The key was gone. But the photo Violet gave me remained. It had changed again. Now I wasn't smiling. I was screaming. Mouth wide, eyes black, like the camera had captured a moment I hadn't lived yet. Then the lights came on, one by one. Bare bulbs hanging from long cords, illuminating a massive room lined with shelves, not of books or boxes, but tapes. Rows of VHS cassettes, each labeled with names. Andrew W. Violet W. Unit 56. Subject 112A, echo copy, failed loop 006, redacted U. Each tape had a timestamp burned into the spine. All of them read 12:06 a.m. Some were melted, some pulsing, some whispering. The shelves seemed endless, and then in the center of the room I saw the table. A single player, VCR, connected to an old tube monitor, and on the screen, a frozen frame. My face, eyes locked with the camera. The second I blinked, the footage resumed. It showed me walking into the mall, locking up the store, checking the time. Except, it wasn't a past event. It was now. I was watching myself in real time. The VCR whirred, fast-forwarding on its own. The footage blurred. Then another version of me appeared, covered in blood, running, screaming. Then another, hanging from a security gate. Then another, curled up in the fetal position, eyes hollow, mouthing something silently. And another, smiling, sitting in the janitor's office, wearing the uniform, holding the mop. The screen glitched, the image fractured. Behind all those versions of me, something loomed. A tall figure with no face. The same one from the very first frame of tape I saw in the security room. But now I understood. It wasn't following me, it wasn't hunting me, it was becoming me. I backed away from the table, and that's when the shelves began to shift. The rows rearranged themselves, pulling back, forming a spiral. At the center of the spiral sat a final pedestal, a single tape resting on it, labeled in black marker, original copy, Unit 56, do not duplicate. I approached it slowly, and beneath the pedestal was an inscription carved directly into the concrete. You destroy this, you destroy the witness. And under that, scratched more violently, but if you don't, it keeps going. I picked up the tape. It was warm, breathing. The label pulsed under my fingers. From the shelves came voices, overlapping, thousands of them, speaking all at once. Don't break it. Break it now. You've seen too much. It never ends. They're watching. They made you from tape. You are the echo. The monitor flashed once more. It now displayed an email inbox. Unread messages flooded the screen. RE, witness files corrupted. Reconstruction failed. Subject unstable. Unit 56 infected another loop. Containment breach probable. Andrew W. has exceeded retention limit. And then one final email opened automatically from unknown witness.loop. Subject, final command pending. Body, if you're reading this, it means you've reached the point of decision. You are not the first. You are not alone. The mall remembers. And it's almost time. Final sequence begins in 0606. The lights in the archive room dimmed, and from somewhere deeper in the walls, a sound started. Familiar, mechanical, the carousel. Only this time it wasn't playing music. It was spinning in silence, and the room began to shake. I clutched the tape. I knew what I had to do, but I also knew if I destroyed it, I'd lose everything. My memory, my name, maybe even my existence. If I didn't, the loop would continue, Another Andrew, another scream, another body. I looked back at the monitor one last time. The video feed had changed. It showed the YouTube video you're watching now, paused at this exact moment. My voice, my words, my story, telling you everything. The screen blinked. The YouTube player was still open, still paused on my face. I moved the cursor. The play bar responded in real time. Every second I hovered over showed scenes I hadn't recorded yet. Things I hadn't said. Moments from further ahead in the timeline, or someone else's. I pressed play. My own voice echoed through the archive room. If you're hearing this, that means the upload has gone live. But that wasn't supposed to happen. The VCR behind me clicked violently. The tape I held in my hand hissed, actually hissed like it was trying to speak. The label started to curl. Burn. I dropped it, and the floor responded. The shelves around me began to melt, as if reality was trying to collapse on itself. All those other copies of me, all those alternate Andrews, their faces flickered across every monitor, some crying, some rotting, some just staring. The carousel roared through the walls now, no music, just that same mechanical churn, like time was being crushed. The screen flashed again, a terminal window opened. Witness, upload, final run, .bat, executing, authenticating ID redacted, verifying data chain integrity. Error, upload not authorized attempting manual override. Prompting, final decision, YN. A black box appeared. 2 keys on the table. Y for yes, erase the archive, end the loops. N for known preserve memory, save the witnesses, keep it all alive. I reached toward Y, but just as my fingers grazed it, a new message appeared. One viewer is watching. I froze. That wasn't possible. There was no internet, no connection, no outside. Except maybe there was. The camera in the ceiling turned, slowly, audibly. It focused directly on me. And then, it spoke. Not aloud, in my head. They're still watching. The tape was the bait. But the file is you. My skin went cold. It wasn't about escaping them all, it never was. It was about recording the witness, packaging the horror in something that could travel, spread, like a virus, like a story, like this video. The ground beneath the VCR cracked. From it rose a hand, made of static and bone, holding a second tape. This one had no label, just a burned-in phrase etched into its shell. Play me to remember, upload me to forget. I didn't know what to choose, not then. And maybe that's why you're here, because one of those options already happened and now the tape is online. The screen behind me lit up with a final message. The witness upload completed. Device unverified. IP trace, your location. Result, archive reopened. Loop 221 begins now. Then the video file corrupted. Static drowned the room, but not white noise. Voices in the static. And if you rewind the video back exactly 13 seconds from now and listen very carefully, you'll hear something whisper behind my final words. It's a name, not mine, yours, because the carousel doesn't spin in place anymore. Now it spins toward you. And someone left a comment under the video. She said she'd reply in the comments, but no one's ever heard from her again. And before the video ends, look closely at the playback bar. It loops. You're still watching. This was based on documented supernatural encounters and real horror story structures, recovered from multiple accounts tied to unverified mole disappearances and unauthorized loop recordings. If you know anything more about Unit 56, leave your initials below before the tape resets again.